Yo, let's talk about let's talk about Aqua Tofana because I was seeing this. I was seeing a lot of people talking about it on my lives. Um, People were like kept commenting it. They were like spamming it in the chat one day, and I didn't know what it was. It was like funny because the context in which the people were using it in, I figured it was what it ended up being. But for those of you who don't know what it is, you guys are in for a treat. It's a very interesting story, but it's also a sad one, right? So first, let's get into the story itself, and then at the end, I definitely have some commentary to add to this.
Aqua Tofana. So let me give you a little bit of history about its legendary inventor, Julia, and the women behind her. For she was not one, she was many. Hello, I'm Sinead from the Poisoner's Cabinet podcast. A while ago, I did a video telling the story about Aqua Tofana, what it does, and its origins. And for some reason, it's getting a lot of hits recently. The story goes that Aqua Tofana was invented by Julia Tofana. She was originally from Sicily. She moved to Rome in the 1600s, and she and a bunch of women that she trusted started selling this poison in secret to other women. Aqua Tofana was a mixture, it was said, of arsenic, lead, belladonna, cantharidin. But what made the poison so special was that you could precisely time when your intended victim would shuffle off this mortal coil, because you could get doses that delivered death in a day, a week, a month, even a year. And the poison was sold in secret to women to help them escape abusive marriages. Because, of course, women at the time were considered property. You bought them, you could do what you wanted with them, and the only escape for most of these women was death, either their own or their husbands. The story of Aqua Tofana was sensationalized over the centuries by different male writers. In the 1800s, you have a couple of writers giving great detail about the beauty of how Aqua Tofana was wielded, but also calling the women witches, betrayers, and saying nothing of the actions of the husbands of the women who bought the poison. They told the story, and a lot of the other women were left out of it. And also, the records seem to have been muddied, that we end up with this woman, Julia Tofana, at the center. So Julia Tofana's real name was likely to be Julia Mangiardi. The inventor of Aqua Tofana is actually thought to be a woman named Tofania d'Adamo. She lived in Sicily, she was an apothecary, and in 1633 she was convicted and executed for poisoning her husband. Now, many people believe that Julia was Tofania's daughter, or at least one of her disciples, and she learnt the secret of Aqua Tofana from her, which is where the Tofana surname comes in. So Julia Mangiardi becomes Julia Tofana. Now, Julia is born and raised in Sicily, which was under Spanish control at the time, but at some point in the 1620s, possibly the 1630s, she moves to Rome. She will go there with her husband and with her daughter, Geronima Spana. I really hope I'm getting the pronunciations right. I'm so sorry. And in Rome, mother and daughter set up their business selling cosmetics. They set themselves up as apothecaries, as cunning women. The women are also building up a network of trusted female helpers. They have women working with them to procure the different poisons to make Aqua Tofana and also to get clients. You had to, apparently, know someone who had already worked with the Tofana brand, as it were, before you could access the poison. So you had to be referred in by an existing customer, so there could be no men just dressing up and going, poison please. Now, instead of Julia being captured and tortured and executed for her poisoning crimes, it's thought that she may have died peacefully in her sleep around 1651, and her daughter carried on the business with her army of helpers. And unfortunately, it was Geronima who was arrested when one client gave away the secrets of the poison ring. Geronima was put on trial along with her other female helpers. These women confessed their crimes after much spiky treatment. While the exact who's who of the story has been amalgamated and convoluted over the years, the central story remains. There was a ring of female, very talented poisoners operating in Italy in the 1600s, selling secretive poisons hidden as cosmetics to women to help them escape abusive marriages. Women within the poisoning ring were executed, and for centuries afterwards, they were vilified as witches and betrayers of men. But today, Julia and her girls are remembered in a very different light.
I just want to say something that I found to be interesting about all of this. So, men always talk about, like, I've spoken to a good amount of men, and they don't know anything about like women's suffrage. They don't know about like the struggles of women and how women fought back, right? And continue to fight back. But I mean, specifically, like, pertaining to, situations like this. And it's the same reason why, for the longest time, Black people, a lot of people, not even just Black people, but nobody knew that slaves constantly fought back. Like it was never a day in slavery where slaves weren't fighting back. They were constantly fighting back. They were always fighting back. It was never a quiet, peaceful day in the world of slavery, right? Anywhere on the planet. So people think that, these groups of people are like feckless and they don't have a backbone and they don't have a spine. But what really happened was their stories were just simply erased or not told. That's all. That's the only thing that happened. When you corner people like this, I mean, what other option do they have? They're gonna resort to this type of extremism, right? So, I mean, the men in these situations deserved it. They asked for it. They did nothing to protect the women, and they abused the women. And the system didn't give the women any way out. So you basically backed a person into a corner, and people are going to do this. So I commend these women, but the reason why I wanted to talk about the story was because with everything that's happening nowadays, this is definitely like going to be like a way that women fight back, I think. I honestly think it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately, for the foreseeable future. And I'm preparing myself and I'm preparing everybody, that I know, because I think women are going to bear the brunt of, like what's happening in America. Like they always do. I think they're going to suffer financially. I think they're going to suffer educationally, and I think they're going to suffer in every institution. I think women are going to suffer coming up here pretty soon. And it's going to be interesting to be a part of this history and to witness, but also to help, because I'm 100% gonna be down for it. Like I'm 100% gonna help and participate. But just seeing how women are gonna fight back, right? And I just don't want to hear the men complaining. I don't want to hear men trying to act like the women are the problem in this particular case. Like if husbands start dropping dead, I'm not. Hey, this was gonna happen, man. When the men start dropping dead, I mean, I just don't want to hear it. Honestly, like I don't want to hear it. And I just don't think men understand. I think men just underestimate women. I don't know how else to say it. I think that's the best way I could put it. Men underestimate women, and they always have. They always have. Men underestimate women, and clearly they're underestimating women right now. I don't. I haven't. I think it's going to be wild. I think it's going to be. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, if it happens, I when they try to force women back into the kitchen, so to speak, getting rid of no-fault divorces, when they start, because the whole like DEI argument or whatever, a lot of that has to do with Black people and non-white people, but a lot of that has to do with women. Like a lot of women are gonna get excluded from jobs and not get their opportunities to have careers and to provide for themselves, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, you're just gonna force these women into a corner, back them into a corner, and they're gonna respond violently, more than likely, because it's gonna be the only way that they can respond. And like I said, like I'm just here to say, don't say I didn't warn y'all. Don't say I didn't warn you, man. A lot of you men are going to end up getting left by your wives. A lot of you men are going to end up getting left by your girlfriends. A lot of you are going to end up going to be abandoned by your mothers and by your sisters, all because you refuse to be on the right side of history and you refuse to help. The help in the struggle, right? So yeah, I'm hoping more men could wake up to this. But it's just when I'm reading the tea leaves, it's just like I'm just seeing men just allowing this shit to happen. It's just I don't have to wonder how stuff happened. I don't have to wonder how Nazi Germany became Nazi Germany. I don't have to wonder about that. I could see it. I'm literally watching it in real time. I'm watching it happen in real time. I don't have to wonder how slaves became slaves. I don't have to wonder. I don't have to think about that stuff. I'm literally witnessing it in real time, and this is what it looks like. So, we're gonna see how many men choose to be on the right side of history, and how many men are going to be willing to participate in protecting women and protecting children and everybody else that needs to be protected. So, but more power. Long live Aqua Tofana. Long live Aqua Tofana.